Hey Star Fam, thanks for tuning in. We're here today for another quick energy check-in using the Master Tarot deck. So, getting right into it. Do hope you guys are all keeping well. This is just going to be a quick general reading, just to see if I can get a little snapshot to see what's going on with my Star Fam. Okay. So the first cards out we have here are the Eight of Cups, the Ten of Cups, the Three of Swords, and the Empress. All right, so it looks like you you're having to walk away from a situation in order to move towards your happiness. Okay? And there's definitely a sense of sorrow about this. Sorry guys. Okay, so with the Eight of Cups, right? This is a card about walking away from a situation. As you can see, this person has got all of their cups lined up in a row or lined up neatly, but unfortunately, they're empty. So, you know, this person is walking away from something that's no longer fulfilling them, or her, them, not gender specific. But there's a sense of walking away from something in order to look for, you know, your 9 and your 10, you know, your happily ever after. Now, that's not to say that, you know, the situation that you're in right now is particularly god-awful, but it could be that things have gotten a bit stagnant, you know, or if it's a case of a job that you're walking away from, it could be that you've progressed as far as you can. You know, and there's nowhere else to go. If it's a relationship, it could be that the relationship has just run its course. Maybe you guys have grown apart. But there's definitely a sense of leaving something behind, you know, in order to search for that happily ever after. You know what I mean? You're looking for something, whether it's a job that's more fulfilling or it's a relationship that's more fulfilling. But there is definitely a sense of sadness about this move. Now, this could be an actual physical move, like, you know, you might have found a new home, and it's literally a new move into a new home, into a new country, new city. Oops. But there is a sense of sadness about it. Now, this could just be because, you know, especially if it's a job or something, if you've been there for quite a few years. And, you know, again, it's maybe that you're not even leaving because the people are bad. You know what I mean? I kind of get the feeling that you might even enjoy the people that you work with, and that's what's making it so hard to walk away from, and what's making it so bittersweet. You know what I mean? Is that I just get a feeling of kind of not disappointment, but like you're gonna miss. There are some things about your situation that you're gonna miss. Now, obviously, if you and a partner are going your separate ways, and, you know, absolutely, there are going to be some elements of your past relationship that you are going to miss. You know what I mean? Especially if this is a case where it was an amicable separation, or as amicable as can be. You know what I mean? Of course, there is going to be a sense of grief, of sorrow that's going to come along with this move, with this change. But I feel like this is, it's definitely a necessary change, because here you are presenting as the Empress. Now, these cards aren't gender or sign specific, but you could be a female, you could be a Taurus, as the Empress card is a sign of Taurus. Um, but again, not necessarily the case. Again, you don't even necessarily have to be a female, you could be a man, and you just display characteristics of the Empress, as in somebody who's very nurturing, someone who's emotionally sensitive, could be psychically sensitive, someone who is a nurturer, a carer. The Empress is known as the divine feminine or the mother of the tarot deck. So, all things nurturing, maternal, all things bountiful and like fertile, And I feel like this is you really coming into your own, and realizing, I want to say realizing your worth. Which isn't necessarily to say that the person that you were with or the job that you were with, they weren't realizing your worth, but it's just, I feel like it's more you wanting to be able to grow. You know what I mean? And it just, I don't know, I get the feeling that as good as the situation was or is or may be, I just feel like it's grown a bit stagnant. And again, as I mentioned, the Empress, she's about fertility and things growing and being nurtured. And, it's like a sense of maybe, again, either you guys were growing apart or, you'd grown as far as you could with this company and there is no more room for progression. The Empress, she's like, she wants to grow things. She wants to see things grow. She's like, in some tarot decks, people usually associate the Empress card with, what's your name? Demeter or Ceres, the goddess of the harvest, because she's all about, things bearing fruit and growing and that kind of, that kind of prosperity, that growth. And so as the Empress, if ever the Empress is in a situation where she feels like, she's not growing, she's not maturing, she's, if the Empress feels stagnant and she's not a happy camper, because that which doesn't grow, what? Dies, right? So there's like a feeling of deep down, in your heart that this is necessary, especially if it's a relationship that you're walking away from. It's like, that this is necessary, not just for your own happiness, but for your partner's, because, it's not fair if a relationship isn't going to work in the long run, or if you're no longer in love with the person that you're with, it's not fair to either of you to continue under false pretenses, and it's kind of the situation where it's like, just gotta rip off the Band-Aid. And yeah, it might hurt, but again, it's for the best. You know what I mean? And for some reason, I just got an image in my mind of like a garden, when you're like pruning a garden, or when you're, when you want certain trees to grow tall, how you have to like prune off some of the ends, the edges, to make sure that it grows big and tall and healthy and strong and that kind of thing. And it's this kind of situation where you're recognizing, as the gardener of your life, you realize that you have to prune back some of these ends, as it were, to make sure that your plant, your metaphorical plant as it is, grows properly. let's see if we can get a little bit more information on this. I mean, taking it as it resonates, guys. It could be a job, but it's kind of looking more like a relationship, to be honest, because we do have the 2 cup cards out, and the Suit of Cups is about emotions, you know, but let's see if we can get a little bit more information, a little bit more context. What's going on with this spread? Oh. Yeah, you see, you got the 10 of Swords out. So definitely there's going to be an ending to something. You know? I definitely feel an ending. So this could be, again, you either ending the relationship or you quitting your job. Let's see, what are these other 2 that came flipped out? Sorry, 3. So we've got the 10 of Swords. We also have the High Priestess, the Tower, and the 8 of Wands. Okay. Sorry guys, bear with me a sec. Right, so the next 3 cards out, the High Priestess, the Tower, the 8 of Wands. The High Priestess and the Tower, we've got another 2 major arcana cards come out. And the High Priestess, when she comes out, she's about the hidden knowledge. You know, she's a very spiritual person. Somebody who's quite psychic, someone with a really good intuition. She's one of those people who just knows things. You know what I mean? She's got a very rich internal life. She's very connected to spirit, whether she realizes it or not. But the High Priestess usually comes out usually when there is some kind of element of secrecy to something. So I kind of get the feeling that these plans that you have to walk away from whatever this situation, you know, it's like you're not telling anybody just yet. You're keeping quite tight-lipped about it, especially if this is a work thing. It's almost like you are literally just waiting to hear back from another company or something. And it's like, as soon as you got another job lined up, if this is a work reading, as soon as you got another job lined up, boom, you're just going to hand in your notice and you're going to quit. You know, but I kind of get the feeling like the other side is going to feel, for them, is going to feel like it's come out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Even if yeah, I just get the feeling like for some people, this seems like it, like this is gonna take them by surprise. Like your departure, if this is a work thing, you know, to your boss or to other people around you, it's like it's gonna seem like it's come out of nowhere, your resignation. Even though I get the feeling that it hasn't. I mean, this is something that you've been planning for quite some time. You just haven't let anybody know that you were planning to leave. You know what I mean? And so for maybe your boss or something, it might to them seem like a, you know, a surprise ending, like you just quit out of nowhere. But I mean, again, that's just because you've been operating under secrecy and you've kept it so well hidden and you've not let on how unhappy you've been at work. You know, so to your employer, it might seem like this is an ending come out of nowhere by surprise. You know, because again, we've got the Tower card, which could indicate surprise, something happening quite suddenly, and then we've also got the Eight of Wands, which is usually fast moving messages. You know, messages that would take you by surprise. It could also be like a travel card as well too. So you may very well be traveling. Again, you've got the Eight of Cups and the Eight of Wands, which could both be representing some kind of actual physical travel move. But yeah, usually the Eight of Wands is swift moving, swift messages. You know what I mean? Which is why, yeah, it's like you're gonna end things as soon as you get that, as soon as you hear back from another potential employer, and as soon as they say, yes, absolutely, you're hired, it's like, boom, you're just going to resign, like, pretty much right away, it looks like. Hmm. Yeah, you guys. Because you got the 2 8s, 2 10s, 2 3s. Let's see what's at the bottom of the deck. The Hanged Man. This is where you're at right now, or where you have been for quite some time. The Hanged Man is another major arcana card. You know, and it's about patiently waiting, actively waiting. You know, it could also be trying to see your situation or see things from another perspective, from another point of view. But this is more like active waiting. You know what I mean? It's like more like biding your time. You know? And this kind of brings me back to the idea where it's like you're literally just biding your time, and as soon as you get those messages, that message back from a potential new employer, you know, it's like you're just gonna hand in your notice right away, and you know you're out of there. But it's like you're very much waiting for this to happen. You know, but I don't feel like you're waiting by idly. Like you are still, you know, you're being productive in the time being. You know, but you also know that this is going to take some time, especially now with the world being in the state that it's in, and you know, some places are beginning to open up, others are still very much in lockdown. So, you know, depending on your geography, where you are, but for many people who are still under lockdown measures, you know, we are all very much in a state of hanged man, you know, where we're just like almost suspended animation, you know. But it's like you're not holding out. It's like you still have hope. I mean, you're the Empress and the High Priestess. So you know your worth. You know your strengths. You know you're successful. You know you're abundant. You know you're competent. You know you're a boss, right? So, and not only are you presenting as the Empress, but also the High Priestess. So not only are you the boss exteriorly, but you're like the master of your internal domain as well too. So you're the whole package basically. You're smart, you're beautiful, you're successful, you're driven, but at the same time you've got an amazing intuition. You're very much in touch with your spirit, with your inner self. Very intuitive. And it's like you just know things. Somehow you just know things, and you always know how to do things, when to do things. It's like you're really good at reading the room and and acting accordingly. Not just reading a room, but reading people as well too. You know what I mean? So it's like your worth. You know how badass you are, basically, for lack of a better term. And I get the feeling that you are. It's like you're not even really worried about any of this because you just know everything is going to work out in your favor. You just know. I mean, you're the high priestess and the empress. You just know, right? And absolutely, you're definitely going to go after your 10 of Cups for your happily ever after. You know what I mean? Because it's your birthright as the Empress, really. You know what I mean? I get the feeling as well. Sorry guys, if this is a relationship that you're walking away from, just be aware that it looks as if your partner, they're going to be quite surprised. For them, this ending is going to feel like it's come out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? It's like this sudden ending, and it's going to feel like everything's happening really quickly and by surprise, you know? But yeah, I just get the feeling that if this is a relationship thing, then you have definitely outgrown it. Because looking at these cards again, look. Now, these two beings here, do they not look oddly similar? Do you know what I mean? Like they're in the same robes, they've got the crown, you know. And I kind of feel like that this is you. I don't want to say self-destructing, but you're the one who's definitely going to be putting an end to this. Because again, as I was mentioning before, it's like, you're no longer growing, And, one of the main themes of the Tower card is that the reason why the Tower is getting hit by a bolt of lightning is because the demise of this tower was inevitable because it wasn't built on proper structure, and there wasn't even a front door for them to get in and out of anyway, so they'd effectively locked themselves in this tower to the point where it almost become a prison. You know what I mean? And so this bolt of lightning came and, struck the tower and knocked it down. So that these people would kind of move out of their comfort zone. And, it's the universe's way of shaking things up a bit and saying, this was never going to work. This didn't have the stability You know, like there was something wasn't right in this situation. Do you know what I mean? Like there was some kind of flaw in the building of this relationship, the situation, as it were. And so it had to come down. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you'd grown out of it. It was no longer serving you. You know, you might have been hanging on because of habit, but it's like deep down you always knew. You know, even though it was an 8 of cups, an 8 isn't bad, but an 8 isn't a 10. So it's like deep down you always knew that whatever your situation you were in, it was good, but it wasn't great, you know? And it's like with a heavy heart, you have to end this, you know? You had to end it because deep down inside you knew that it wasn't right. You knew that it didn't quite tick all the boxes, you know? It wasn't quite perfect. You know, or not even perfect. It just wasn't quite right. You know what I mean? And so you always deep down knew that it was going to have to come to an end. You know what I mean? But yeah, for some of you guys, it's going to come as a bit of a sudden end. Or maybe not for you, but for your partners, it's going to seem like a sudden end. Which is kind of unfortunate. Maybe you might want to start talking to your partner from now. If this is you, you know, if you haven't been having these conversations with your partner about the status of your relationship and how you're feeling, you know, just so that when you do finally pull the plug, it doesn't feel like such a shock to the system. You know what I mean? Besides, you never know what can be sorted out with just a little bit of communication, you know? A bit of communication. But I mean, again, as it resonates, you guys know your situation better than I do. If this is the kind of situation where you have tried discussing things before, but nothing ever gets sorted out, then I can understand. Just wanting to give up. But if it's a kind of situation where you've been feeling a certain way for some time but haven't bothered to try to speak to your partner, then, you know, maybe try communicating with them a bit. And if you guys just still continue to not see eye to eye or be able to get on the same page, then, I mean, yeah, you know what needs to be done, right? And the reason I'm saying this is more to cover your bases. You know, so that your ex doesn't go around telling people that, you know, oh, she probably cheated on me, he probably cheated on me, they just broke up with me so suddenly out of the blue for no reason at all whatsoever, and then all of a sudden you're the bad guy now. Do you know what I mean? At least try to talk to them, at least just to cover your bases, just so that at the end of the day, you can look yourself in the eye and say, you know what, I at least tried. I tried speaking to them and it just wouldn't work out and we couldn't come to some kind of an agreement, even though I've tried. You know, at least put your 100% in, again, just so that you can say to yourself, at least I gave it a try, you know? So no one can ever say that it was just you flaking out. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you understand. Anyways, guys, I think I am going to leave that here for now. I really hope this helps. If this resonated and you enjoyed this read, please be sure to leave me a like. I really appreciate all of the support. Really does help my tiny little channel grow. But yeah, with that, take care, and I'll see you again soon.